Today is April 17th, 2024. This is KJ Saffold here with the Green Zone. I am much privileged and pleased and thankful to be here with Miss Amber Littlejohn. Amber, I'll give you the opportunity to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yes, thank you. It's a pleasure to share some time with you this afternoon. Welcome to DC. I am currently counsel at Ice Miller. We are a large we are a large law firm with a surprisingly large cannabis practice. Kind of one of the we are a 114-year-old law firm that just made the decision that cannabis was really a good addition to kind of our existing practice areas. Prior to my time at Ice Miller, I was executive director of the Minority Cannabis Business Association, where I worked on federal and national policy for minority businesses throughout the country. I've had the pleasure of getting to work with many veteran organizations, have veterans close to me in my life. So it is a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that introduction. This again is a kind of no script conversation. So my goal is to learn and understand just more of your experiences. I know you mentioned MCBA. As a veteran myself, having experiences within the cannabis business, I know that it has been challenging just to navigate the vast majority of organizations, the vast majority of different laws and things as it pertains. If you don't mind, would you just kind of talk about what got you here with the experience that you shared with the MCBA and any other cannabis related experience as well?
I have always grown up with a connection to the plant. I grew up in Northern California, where the plant is just a part of life and culture. Um, my professional journey actually started on the dietary supplement and natural products side. So other highly
So,
regulated,
so Amber, I lost
yeah,
you
yeah,
until I heard dietary
yeah,
supplement. So go
yeah.
ahead and start over because I got you back
I
right
am
now.
gonna
And then,
lean in here.
okay,
Um, you know what? Maybe it would help if we turned off cameras.
boom, let's do it.
Maybe that would help with bandwidth. All right,
All right.
I'll lean in
So
here.
go ahead and just start from the top of what you were just saying.
Yeah. So my journey to cannabis, started really long before even my professional journey did. I grew up in Northern California and in a family where, cannabis was part of the culture. Through my professional journey, I actually started working with dietary supplement and the natural products industry. Lots of small businesses really committed to sort of alternative health therapies and helping people, have access to kind of safe and effective plant and natural health alternatives. So the progression into cannabis was really, in so many ways, sort of natural and preordained. I started in the hemp and CBD space and then made my way over into cannabis. Uh, During my time at MCBA, I came to the organization as a senior policy advisor, where I helped establish our federal cannabis program and some of our national programs. During my time at the organization, we did a lot of work both affecting policy at the federal level, but also really doing a lot of work to understand what these social equity programs were doing and what they could do better and help shape policy throughout the state and the municipality in measurable ways try to make these programs more effective impactful for the people they were intended to support. So
Thank
now,
you.
after I left,
Go
now
ahead.
I'm at Ice Miller, which is a large full service law firm. I work in our
I
government
lost you
and
again.
um okay, let me lean in here.
Can you
I
hear me? Can you hear me? Hello?
I can you hear me at all?
Yes, yes. So
Okay.
the last thing I heard you say was so now, and that was it.
So after my time at MCBA, I transitioned into a law firm called Ice Miller. We are a large full service law firm that also has a large cannabis, national cannabis practice, which is great. I don't no longer work exclusively with cannabis clients, but the common thread is a lot of small businesses in industries that are highly regulated and facing a lot of headwinds and a lot of really complex social and economic issues.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing basically your history and what you've done so far. You talked about a few things that I know resonates much with myself as a veteran. You talked about policy, and you mentioned that word quite often. As you may well know, many veterans are very inclined to different policies and procedures. We come across SOPs and standards quite often within our time serving within the military. As it relates coming into 420, and we are in DC, seeing the National Cannabis Policy Summit, the National Cannabis Festival, the Seat at the Table event that's hosted by the National Association of Black Cannabis Lawyers. Um, Amber, what can you share with us as it relates to current policies and how they may affect the veteran and what the veteran is experiencing? Or are there things that we should kind of be abreast and aware of that helps us remain in the know?
So I want to start with something really basic, and that is what you're seeing happen this week are organizations, interest groups, and individuals that are representing this beautiful spectrum of thought and opinion on cannabis and cannabis policy, and everybody is converging on DC. As some veterans may know, and I'm sure you are well aware, KJ, is veterans really serve within this industry as as the tip of the spear sometimes when it comes to policy, because of uh, the the esteem with which both lawmakers and the public hold veterans. The voice of veterans in the veteran community is really important, and so oftentimes we have interest groups that seek to leverage the voice of veterans. And so I deeply encourage veterans and veteran organizations to be able to access resources and support to understand the policy, to truly understand the law and the policy, and how it affects you, how it affects the broader veteran community, and to understand the changes you would like to see. Because I want to be sure that as the many forces that come to bear on veterans and are interested in leveraging the voice of veterans, that everybody can, from the veteran community, can come to the table armed with the information that they need to be able to choose the right relationships, choose the right causes and issues, choose the right perspective and position on issues to be able to get what they needed as both individuals and organizations and as a community without, you know, having people veteran wash issues without really coming correct and really coming with something of value for the community.
Absolutely. You said great things there, especially as it relates to bringing value to our conversations, bringing value to our overall knowledge base. And I also really appreciate how you kind of coined it the tip of the spear as it relates to veterans' opportunity to become involved to be aware of what's going on in and around the cannabis space. And with that being said, would you mind just thinking of and highlighting any individuals or organizations or resources that you are privy to that you believe veterans would benefit from being aware of? It can be, as unique as a specific brand that, may attract some new customers, or perhaps it can be some prominent influencers that are doing great things that would appreciate the support and awareness of veterans.
Well, I would be absolutely remiss if I had a conversation about veterans and I didn't mention the Veteran Cannabis Coalition. The Veterans Cannabis Coalition, based out of California, led by a gentleman named Eric Guapo. He has this coalition not only is working to affect change and policy on the federal level, but has dedicated their time and their resources to actually putting plant medicine in the hands of veterans that need it, and ensuring that the policies that are being put in place around around the world and around the country are inclusive of veterans and looking at opportunities to heal and support veterans through the use of cannabis medicine and ensuring that veterans have access. I have had the pleasure of uh, testifying before Congress alongside Eric, and he is an incredible advocate for the community. So, to whatever extent that work can be supported, or if you are looking for causes and voices to follow and to listen to, I would highly encourage you to take a look at that organization and the work that Eric does through that incredible organization.
Thank you so much for sharing that resource with us. And that's definitely opportunity that I'll be looking to build that working relationship and really become aware of what the Veteran Cannabis Coalition is doing out there in the West Coast. I think that'll be phenomenal for the Green Zone and the supporters of the Green Zone. Uh, we got as far west as Denver, not so much as Cali, and so very much looking forward to getting in contact with veterans in and around that location and really being connected with Eric. So thank you for sharing that, Amber. And before we started recording, you had mentioned your experiences with individuals that are within the military. And with that being said, uh, unbeknownst to many people, we are related to and tied to a military member in some shape, form, or fashion, whether it be a spouse or maybe an employee or maybe your boss. Amber, would you mind just kind of reflecting on your interactions with military members and kind of thinking about how the opportunities that are emerging within the cannabis industry, even beyond like a business opportunity, maybe, mental health and wellness, but just kind of speaking to your experiences as it relates to your interactions with military members and where there may be opportunity for the cannabis industry to be a conduit of success and growth.
Yeah, you know, I had speaking about Eric just jarred something in my memory. Back in the end of 2022, when Eric and I both had the honor of testifying before House Oversight Committee on the need for cannabis legalization, I opened my testimony uh, talk, talking about the impact of emerging industries on communities. And I was able to tell the story of my grandfather, who was born into sharecropping South Carolina, went to the military, went to the army at age 16, was drafted unwittingly into the army at that age, uh, and got out after, you know, learning how to fix electronics and learning a skill and a trade, and entered this fledgling industry of personal computing when he got a job at IBM in San Jose, California. And through that opportunity in this emerging industry that really didn't make sense to a lot of people, it wasn't the type of job that military men got back then. But my grandpa had a vision. Uh, in addition to being a strong and wonderful man, he was courageous and insightful and thought far enough into the future and had enough, again, courage to decide that he was going to get into this new and fledgling industry. And through that and that choice and that entry into that industry, he changed the trajectory of the entirety of my family for generations to come. What he did through that work and what he was able to create through that work. Uh,
Amber,
yeah,
could you please repeat after you said he had the courage to? Because it broke up on my end, so I just want to make
yeah,
sure that I heard it clearly.
yeah. He had the courage to enter an industry that wasn't typical for men getting out of the military at that time. And in doing so, he changed the trajectory of generations of my family to come. And so we are sitting at the beginning of what opportunity will look like in the cannabis industry. And we want to make sure that there are ways for, we need to clear the way. We need to clear the way for veterans to be able to participate in the industry, to be able to access plant medicine, and to be able to receive the benefits that come from this emerging space.
I appreciate so much you sharing, your just story as it relates to your grandfather. So much so that my late grandfather, very similar, Amber, grew up sharecropper in Mississippi and a part of the Great Migration North. Family was relocated into Chicago. He was drafted and went and served in Korea and got out and had a job, unlike many others, which was similar in computing, where he was coming out of high school, one of the only males to take a typing class. And because of that, when he deployed, was able to be pulled into the headquarters and kind of assist with typing. But his matriculation after the military is very similar to the story that you shared. And it's so awesome that I did not know that's where the conversation was going, but we're able to connect with that story alone and then share what we're doing in this day and age as it relates to the opportunities. And again, I just want to say thank you for sharing that. But that tells more about what veterans are able to do as a collective and as those who support veterans as well. And I want to say thank you for supporting veterans in what you do, right? Taking the time to have a call and capture some notes and things that we've been discussing. I just appreciate you sharing that and also doing what you do on behalf of not only yourself, but veterans in and around the country and the world. And so we are nearing the end of my little self countdown that I gave us. Um, I want to give you an opportunity again to speak to whoever it is that may be listening with whatever words that you want to leave with them. And then also in that opportunity, if you would just talk to me about what if we get it right, right? What does that world look like as it relates and pertains to cannabis? Just it could be a fairy tale world, but what does it look like? Because the goal is that we have an identity. We're able to identify the mission. We're able to identify the absolute goal and do what we can to work towards it. So again, any last parting words to resonate with anyone who may be listening, and beyond that, what does a perfect world look like within the cannabis industry as it pertains to you?
Yes. So right now we are in an exciting time, but also a little bit of a scary time when it comes to cannabis. We are seeing a lot of sort of division between the industry and the survival and the viability of the industry and folks that are fighting for justice and equality within the cannabis space. And to me, that is heartbreaking because there should never be a disconnect. The two should never uh, one should never exist without the, well, I guess the other side can exist without the industry side, but truly the industry side can drive the justice and reforms. But when we're looking at what the industry should look like, um, it has to be inclusive of equity in its totality, and veterans are a vital piece of that. So as we're having these discussions, and we seem to have uh, advocates kind of breaking off into two camps, I think veterans can actually serve to be bridge builders, because ending prohibition is foundational to access to the industry and to plant medicine for veterans. So there is strong alignments, and that mission is really firmly rooted in that of the activists. But there is also opportunity to drive change and to drive that generational change, like our grandfathers saw, through inclusion in this industry and through leveraging the resources of industry to support veterans both individually and as a community. And so I really think there's this incredible opportunity for veterans, if empowered with information, to do what you do well. I mean, be pragmatic, approach it with a plan and systems, be courageous, and, move forward with the mission in mind instead of being swayed, you know, by by two separate factions of interest within the cannabis space that may not totally represent you, and to not be afraid to embrace both sides because you are deeply rooted in the causes and the priorities of activists. And then there are going to be shared goals on the industry side. So being able to navigate that space and realize it's not a zero sum game, and that there is benefit and progress to be made, working with all sides of the discussion. And I invite people, and I invite veterans especially, to take that approach. And so I guess my closing thought would be to just hold, as people may want to, you know, leverage your status as a veteran, ensure that whatever they are taking is paid forward to you and to the community. Because again, people love to you know get that veteran stamp of approval, but there should be alignment with policies and priorities. There should be alignments financially. There should be alignment of needs. So making sure that your needs are met and that you're not in a situation where you are just serving, serving, and serving without there being balance or something coming back to feed you. And I do find that with so many of the veterans close to my heart, that instinct for service is so strong that sometimes there is a hesitancy to stop and say, "Hey, what what am I getting out of this?" And that's not a negative thing. That's a positive, because you bring value to the table, and making sure that what you get out of it is what you need.
I much appreciate and want to say thank you for those sentiments and those last words. I think it much resonates with the advocacy side of it. Oftentimes, veterans serve well, but it is challenging for veterans to come up for air and ask for one acknowledgement for self, and then also sometimes it's challenging to ask for help. But that's the exact intention of the green zone, is to create spaces and places where we can connect with the Amber Littlejohns of the world and individuals and organizations that are founded within integrity, that do what they say they do and actually bear good fruit. And you said some things, Amber, that I want to leave as like a call to action to those that are listening. It is do what you do, right? Get in and find out what's going on, align with like mind, like spirited organizations and individuals, and become involved. Understand how this opportunity in history can benefit you from a health and wellness perspective, maybe from a financial perspective, or just really a community and relationship perspective. Please get out, get active, become informed, become involved, and act on these great opportunities and the access to great individuals such as Amber. So again, the last part, Amber, you spoke of the industry mindset and the industry construct, and I'd like to leave those who are tuning in with the understanding that we are the industry. There is no industry without the people that make it work, that make it happen. What you reap is what you sow. It's the same within the cannabis industry as it is within our relationships. And so, with that being said, if there are things that are not aligned and we are standing by and not becoming active, it's on us. And I know as a veteran and military members do the same, we don't make excuses. We get up and we make it happen. And so we no longer have an excuse now that we know Miss Amber Littlejohn and how great she is and all of the things that she's related to and tied with. And so just want to say thank you again for your time. Uh, I'll let you go ahead and have the last words, and I'll get off this recording.
No, again, just thank you for the time and for the work you're doing to create a space and a community and to share power and to get power and to access power for a community that, again, I think is often brought into the discussions, but not always to the table. So I really do appreciate the work that you're doing in support of the veteran community, and anything that I can do to support your work, I am happy to do so.
Awesome. Thank you so much.